Let's go. We got bowling, baby. We got Dreamer, baby. Bowling's, kind of sitting on the floorboard there. We got Sun Bear, baby. We got Dragon T, baby. Risen. Nobody cares about it.
Risen doesn't get a baby?
Baby! Yes! I love you! Baby! Yes! Baby! Yes! I love you! Baby! Yes!
DeFi Kingdoms, baby. DeFi Kingdoms for beginners. Do you not know anything about crypto? I got you. DeFi, decentralized finance. You got kids, you got a wife. DeFi Kingdoms, billions of dollars with Hero. Yes, baby, why? Amazing. GQ bot, he does. Yes. Even though there's no right or wrong way. Wonder where I'm at? Yes. Once upon a time, in the not too distant past. Baby. Yes.
Baby! Yes! I love you! Baby! Yes! Baby! Yes! Baby! Yes!
Oh, baby, my man, right here, Seth.
Oh, let's go. We got
with this Seth, this man. His pectorals are pulsating. His glutes are activated. His biceps are flexed after he just got back done doing his workout. This man, we all know right here on the biggest shit show there is in crypto. My mental head case right here. Your one and only amazing crypto expert who's managed to lose $3 million in crypto in the last year and a half alone, but not this man. This man has all of his SHIT together. He's doing stuff. I don't know how he functions. He's out there grinding. Every time I look at my phone, he's on another Twitter Spaces, and I try to join. Then he's on another Twitter Spaces. He's doing videos. He's in interviews. Yesterday, in an interview with Grant Cardone's twin brother, Gary Cardone, on Sin City Crypto. Earlier in the week or last week, he was on there doing a video with my man, Crypto Crow, talking about Cardano and all the stuff going there. I want to quiz you on that. Last week, I'm in Vegas. He's interviewing the guy that did the movie with Richard Hart, asking all the hard questions, getting down to it. This guy is all over the place. He's going to show us right here, right now, the magazine. Hold it up, baby. The magazine. How many of these have you done? You've written?
Think after issue 10, I will have done over 20 articles. I might be nearing 25.
Oh, and I think I might have that very magazine. Did I get that maybe in the Central Miami?
You probably should have. I think that they were there in the Women in Web3 conference. If you get this one in particular with the Mona Lisa on front and the Bitcoin down there, graphic card mining versus ASIC mining, you'll see some of my work right there.
Oh, dude, that just scratches the surface of what this guy's doing. I mean, he's all over the place. And you know me, I love to find people that are like-minded. Like-minded how? People who grind, who follow that golden rule, looking out for the best interests of others over their own, specifically in crypto projects. We're out there looking, we're analyzing projects, we're breaking them down. We're trying to find teams that are driven by a strong core value of looking out for the best interests of the community, even over their own best interests. They're grinding through the bear market. They're not money driven, looking at the 5 minutes in front of the face, just trying to make a quick buck and run. They're teams that are truly successful are the ones that will grind and actually build a reputation, that look out for your best interests, gain trust, and actually, have a valid business or a vision or a passion that they're aiming for, a strong why that's driving them, not money driven, baby. And that's what this guy does. I've noticed it all over the place. He's got his shit together. I love it, man. Love you.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that you wanted to take
Grady, thanks, man. Great, thank you so much. And I feel like you're too kind, Grady. Here's the thing. We've run into each other a couple of times, and I feel like you got this way about you where you're constantly looking for people to uplift, and you're constantly looking for people to build alongside. And definitely appreciate it about yourself, man, because you bring positive energy to every room you walk into. There's no mistaking that you're there, right? So you mentioned like, oh man, I lost $3 million in crypto, dude. Very few people have ever even worked with a $3 million portfolio, let alone been in a position to lose it, right? So you're breathing rare air yourself, sir. I think you're being too kind when discussing me, but I appreciate you inviting me on.
Hey, I love it. We could literally, there's so many things we could talk about. I love GF Burke, the man himself. He's tight with Crypto Lifer out there in his trading group. He's out there. He's all over the place. Crypto Lifer was on Miss Team Crypto today. Awesome interview there. I love this guy, Burke, and he's been telling me about Caspa, which I bought. Burke finally went, and he was telling us to buy it for months. Did I ever get around to buying it? No. Now it's pumped, and it's pumped, and it's pumped, and I think it retraced a little bit. I finally DCA'd in for my first time. Okay. What do you know about Caspa? Anything at all?
I know that it's extremely popular in proof of work circles because it was one of the few coins that could be mined profitably on GPUs. So a lot of people, after they finished mining Ethereum and the merge happened, they kind of took account of everything that would work for them, and they settled on a couple of different cryptocurrencies. One of the big ones was Caspa, and so you got huge fleets of mining hash rate on GPU farms that kind of settled there, and they made that the new home. There are a couple other projects that I'm sure we'll talk about also that kind of also became got that net uplift of hash rate from all of the GPUs leaving Ethereum, but Caspa won big in terms of security.
I love it. I remember hearing about it years ago, and I think I probably had some somewhere. So I used to pretty much buy everything that anybody would ever talk about, like the mindlessly irresponsible degenerate degen that I am, baby. That's what we do here.
well, let me drop some alpha on your audience. So I'm going to float this over to you privately, Grady, and then you can choose to post this or not. This is in our private chat, but it's a no KYC exchange that they have certain limits. I'm not encouraging anyone to try to break any laws. Obviously, you know what the travel rule is here in the United States, and you're going to go read up on any laws that apply to you and wherever you are in the world. But this exchange does not require KYC, and they have Caspa listed as a pair against Bitcoin that you can go buy permissionlessly. Their order books are relatively flush. So if you want exposure to Caspa, but you don't want to go KYC at yet another exchange to try to find Caspa, check this one out.
Let's go. Tell me, what exchange?
It's called Trade Ogre. And I'm not often so open in talking about it. Definitely during bull runs, I don't talk about it. In bear markets, though, right? Like we've got the people here who are serious, and they deserve that alpha. They deserve to know where people who are serious about privacy and serious about getting exposure to cryptocurrencies without having every single thing that we do surveilled at all times. They deserve that alpha right now. So yeah.
So Trade Ogre. And just so you know, if you ever want to share your screen, you can at the bottom hit present, share your screen if you ever need to. Trade Ogre. Okay. It's a centralized exchange?
Yeah, it's a centralized exchange. I'm going to go ahead and I would go ahead and do that right now, actually.
Present, share that screen. Let's take a look.
Yep. So I've got just a tab that's open right there.
Yep. Okay.
And yeah, that right there, this is the Trade Ogre main view. Let me pop that text size up just a little bit. So if you got old guys in the audience like me, don't have to use their glasses. I ought to like seriously, man, it's embarrassing these days. Right? Seriously, I'm like a couple months away from getting bifocals.
Oh man.
So, yeah, man.
Wow.
So this is their current chart, but you can see right there, as far as the overall volume, that it's not this huge exchange, but not this huge exchange, but they do have consistent order volume where whatever, man, you want to pick up a few $100s spot, it's here. You want to do a limit order, it supports that too. So if there's a price, Grady, that you wanted to get access to, that that you just you don't immediately see, then you can set that limit order by figuring out, and it tells you have to have an account, but again, that's free to do. Strongly recommend. People, in my opinion, should always have a VPN. I'm not telling you to use a VPN to circumvent any laws. I'm telling you should always have a VPN for your own digital protection.
Yep.
But I think you should use a VPN for this site as well, just like any other site. But once you're signed in, then yeah, you can set the price that you're willing to pay, and they don't label it as a limit order, but that's what it is, right? So you can choose the entry point that you want, and if the market ever moves in that direction, your order will fill.
Wow. So, and the website is tradeogre.io.
.com. Yeah, and
.com.
Yeah, and this is just the Caspa BTC link right there. I don't see. I'm not signed in, so I don't have access to the other trading view tools right now. So pardon my ignorance. I don't know what time frame this is as far as the chart right here. But
if you want to drop, there's a referral link that helps you, you can drop it right there in the chat, and I will click on it.
Well, that's what I love about Trade Ogre. They're pretty cypherpunk, man. I don't think that they even offer any kickbacks because there's no leverage. It's just spot trades.
Okay, beautiful. Well,
yeah.
Speaking of,
just if you know, man.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of cypherpunk, okay, I don't know if George is putting on. Okay, we were in a space earlier. All right, where'd that go? Right here.
I'm gonna say something. I love George, and he's a great dude. I'm just gonna say something a little bit heretical here. This is actually not George's event. This is a Flux event that George is speaking at.
Okay, so it says here, powered by Flux, brought to you by Cryptos R Us.
What?
All right, I'm gonna be there. Are you gonna be there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. In fact, I'm working with their team pretty closely to try to make sure that it's the best event that it possibly can be on stage, right? That's what we do, is we educate from the stage. So,
beautiful. And what we do here on this channel is I look for projects that are strong and solid, just like we said, following that golden rule with strong core values. And as we discussed earlier, it drives me crazy. Generally speaking, there's hardly a project out there in crypto that cannot get out of their own way when it comes to messaging, marketing, communicating. And it drives me nuts, but I still love them because their heart's in the right place. They're grinding, they're developing. They're a lot of the good ones out there. But when it comes to messaging, it's a train wreck. All right. So often they can't get out of their own way. So I love, and I know in that kind of your heart too, is to help these projects out there, the good ones that you find, get known, get adoption, bring Web3 adoption.
Yeah, absolutely. So I need to disclose also that I have worked professionally in crypto marketing and in Web3 marketing over the last couple of years. And prior to that, I had a couple of freelance stints at some large international marketing agencies. So doing live experiential and then also doing digital marketing for clients like Dell, AT&T. Well, mostly Dell as far as the digital marketing, but then overall live experiential training, third-party labor for a bunch of Fortune 50 clients. So like, just to say more recently, I do professional marketing work in this industry. So sometimes I'll be in spaces because it's like, hey, I'm there to just educate. And then at other times I'll disclose. Usually I'll very publicly disclose like, yeah, no, we're doing this is our sponsor for this space. And they are very likely a paid client when I say that. So just want to clear the air. People feel some sort of way, Grady. They feel some sort of way when you work in marketing, as opposed to giving unlimited press, free press to everybody all the time without stopping, right? Like so you don't have those
right here, baby. But no,
right?
But see, if you build that trust where people trust you, follow that golden rule. People, they know you're not doing rug scams, rug pulls, doing shady projects out there, promoting shady projects. No, you find the good ones that have your core values that you look for with a critical eye, man. I know you do. So tell me about Flux. What's going on there? We're going to get Scott with Flux also on the channel, baby.
Nice. Yeah, no, that'd be amazing. Scott is super cool. He's a more recent addition to the team, but he fit right in because it's a very dynamic group. And they exhibit a lot of hustle, right? They're a team that really hasn't slowed down too much over the last 4 or 5 years. And, I'm very proud to have been able to feature them on my YouTube channel that many years ago, and it was kind of this freak accident, right? So Daniel Keller, who is part of the core leadership of Flux and has been from day one, he saw me live streaming on YouTube a few years back, hit me up in the comments and said, "Oh yeah, I'm running a project at the time called Zelcash," and called Zelcash. And he made a comment about like, I would love to come on your channel sometime. And I'm like, dude, I'm streaming right now. You're clearly making comments. Why don't you hit me up in Discord and I'll integrate you into my stream. And so he just jumped right in and we hit the ground running and kind of talked about it very openly then. And I'm still very pleased that it was something I was able to bring to my audience back then. So yeah, those are the kinds of really fun stories that I'm able to bring like now. They're legacy media at this point in crypto, where I was able, especially in 2018, the altcoin run of 2018, I was able to interview some projects that I still feel very good about today. Others, they didn't make it, but yeah, there's a few that worked really well. And that was, Flux is one of them.
Okay. What does Flux do? A little quick.
So Flux.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me give it. Yeah. Really, really, really brief rundown of what Flux does in a nutshell. Flux has its own sovereign blockchain, its own independent blockchain that is primarily designed to create incentive to run a private, decentralized cloud. So think, for example, in the way that you might be able to use Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, or Microsoft Azure to be able to run code on somebody else's computer and maybe even run applications or websites on somebody else's computer somewhere else in a data center. Flux and their Flux network, they allow you to execute code on other people's computers. And those people run their computers in this decentralized cloud hosting network in exchange for Flux tokens, right? They have an incentive, and that's what the blockchain helps to do, is run that incentive. It does some other things as well, but that's kind of the 30,000 foot overview.
Yeah. And I remember them. Weren't they even around in 2017?
I think they were. And I think it was 2018 that they started to enact a plan to move towards these distributed service nodes. Okay. Prior to that point, they had a wallet client that they work with called Zelcore. It's a really great client. It's not my daily driver. I haven't used it as a regular wallet in quite a while, but it's very usable. So similar to say like your Trust wallet, or maybe, what else is a good example? I'm thinking of Paul. Thinking of Paul Poi. His
anything that's better. I can't wait to get out of MetaMask.
Edge wallet. I was thinking about that. So some alternatives, right? So, and there's so many, man, right? We've seen so many come and go. Coinomi, which is still serviceable, but they stopped being open source. So many wallets that are great options, and Zelcore is another really fine option, in my opinion.
And there's so many others coming. The Brown Gent just did a video on one that is really getting big. I can't remember what it was. Anyways, okay. So, all right. I know you're also big on Monero. You're big on privacy.
Yes. Yeah. Privacy is a pretty big deal to me. That's one of the reasons that I interviewed the Flux project back in 2018 when it was Zelcash. Is that with Zelcash being a fork of the Zcash code base. And I think that they went the route of forking some code from Komodo. Don't quote me, but point is ZK snarks, right? They're a big step in privacy. A really big deal in privacy is these zero knowledge proofs that Zcash uses, and a bunch of other projects. They saw the Zcash Foundation debut these zero knowledge proofs, these ZK snarks, right? Yeah, that formed the basis of their privacy. A bunch of other projects in 2018, as the altcoin season ran up, said, you know what, that privacy looks like a pretty good idea, and their code base is done. It would be really smart for us to just fork that code base and then make some changes and tweaks to make this blockchain do what we want. That's a little bit different from what Zcash does. And so Zelcash at the time, then Flux, they featured privacy pretty heavily. It was an important part of the code base at the time. So that for me was a very big deal when inviting them on. And, they've since had to adjust their business model a little bit based on what it is that they're offering. But as far as what I offer on my channel, yes, if there are projects that feature privacy as a main focus, I go out of my way to feature these projects on my channel. I don't even accept bounties from them. because I don't want it to cloud my judgment when evaluating different privacy tech in particular. I feel like that could be dangerous.
Yeah.
A bunch of other projects, like I'll promote, and by all means, got a marketing agency. We do full service marketing, CPC campaigns, CPA campaigns. If it's an exchange, we contract KOLs, right? Contract influencers, and then we make media as well, including explainers and animations and stuff. We do all kinds of stuff. But that's for like everybody else. For my personal YouTube channel, where I talk about stuff that's near and dear to my heart, privacy advocates, they speak easy. They speak for free.
Oh, baby. So what, Zcash used to be one of my favorite teams. They were so strong. They seemed like such a strong, legit team. What the heck happened to them? What's going on with Zcash? Are they still grinding? What's going on there?
Yeah, I think that they've had a lot that's locked in on their blockchain that makes them very comfortable. And they've moved from where they were before, the token issuance based on proof of work, now moving towards proof of stake. And what they're not saying openly is that there may be some factions in their leadership who desperately want that change because they don't want to run mining infrastructure. And they want to be able to sit back and watch their current crypto holdings give them yield month over month and year over year. So it makes me sad, but because I'm not exactly anti proof of stake, but when it comes to projects like this, where they claim to have been launched fairly, but then it's obvious that the team and whatever, for the longest time, they had a developer tax too, a developer fee in each block reward. So they didn't even have to set up miners. They just passively got rewards. So now for them to move to a proof of stake ecosystem, in my opinion, it looks a little bit bad for the Zcash Foundation and the Electric Coin Company. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that.
Okay. So you're kind of out a little bit more, maybe out, not all the way out, but a little bit more out on Zcash these days.
Yeah, just for the record, I've never been a really big proponent of Zcash. During 2018, when I was very strongly doing very strong outreach measures to get representatives from every major privacy coin on my channel, they were the only group that never responded.
Really?
Make of that what you will. I don't know why, but yeah.
Because their team, man, I knew a guy that knew their team real well. And I just had the highest of hopes for that project. Interesting. Okay. So Burke is asking, what's your opinion about privacy coins like Monero, given the current U.S. attack on such tech? Longevity, life. Go. Is Monero still?
Yeah.
They're still going? Okay.
Monero's still around. They're still developing. Monero Research Labs still works with a great relationship across, sort of like an ecumenical relationship, right? Building bridges between Monero and other projects. And I'd like to think that in some small part, I've helped contribute to that really solid collaborative environment. I'm going to brag on an accomplishment that just in this legacy media, I was fortunate enough to interview the very first ever publicly interview on video for the first time ever, the earliest Monero developer, guy who moved on from Bytecoin, if you remember them, to Bullberry. Yeah.
Really?
And he was a hired hand. He claims he was a hired hand. There's no way we can know for sure, right? With Bytecoin, because these are privacy coins.
Yeah.
But he claims he was a hired hand at Bytecoin. He went on to do Bullberry. He went on to do an airdrop fork of Bullberry, now called Zano. And I feel really good about just speaking really positively to him and speaking really positively to his team, speaking really positively to the Monero sort of broader community and saying, hey guys, I respect these people and their contributions. Let's share notes, right? Like talk to these guys. They have some ideas that the rest of the current Monero developers aren't thinking about or talking about. And so that's been a really solid, that's yielded a lot of benefit there. Same with the particle team, Firo, which was previously Zcoin. I felt really good about just like I'd be comfortable. Let's just say traveling anywhere in the world and sitting down with any of the leaders of any of these privacy projects, except Zcash. They're the only ones that have not been quite so welcoming.
Interesting.
Yeah. Again, it's weird.
So interesting. I did get all the way out of most all these coins quite a while back. Because I just, man, it's like hard to follow the teams with some of these projects versus like I'm so used now. I'm like, I feel spoiled like with DeFi Kingdoms, for example, we get a weekly AMA on everything they're doing every week. We get an update.
Yeah.
We see them grinding. We see all these updates coming like every other week to the protocol. And they're, even though so many delays, it always happens. Delays. It's crypto. We get used to it. And there's all kinds of headaches that come your way. If you're trying to develop a project, it's brutal. It's hell. It's so hard. It's so hard to get through a bear market like this right now. Oh, okay. And so
I feel like I probably didn't. I feel like I probably didn't actually answer that question though about Monero.
Okay.
Yes, it's still around. Yes, it still works. Yes, it still has best in class privacy. And people who try to FUD Monero, in my opinion, are if you kind of audit the rest of their opinions, whether they realize it or not, they lean towards trusting the state versus trusting individuals to be more sovereign. I won't put a value judgment on that. I'm just going to say, like, if you talk to them, they tend to be the kinds of people who say, like, no, the government would never do fill in the blank.
Well, yeah, I know. Here's the problem that I still can't work my mind around. Like this also kind of what falls in line with this conversation is decentralization versus centralization. Okay. And it's like, we've kind of seen, the industry isn't quite ready to be fully decentralized except in the case with Bitcoin, baby, for the most part. So
yeah,
Ethereum is getting closer. I know that's a big push with Charles Hoskinson and Cardano, but it's tough when you have all the crazy stuff that goes on. People find ways to exploit things, and it's just mind-blowing. And so, man, it's hard. And when these occurrences keep happening, hacks, this, that, and the other, it just really is so devastating to the whole market overall. And it's like, man, I felt like becoming a Bitcoin maxi after, the Luna situation.
right.
Like, are we ever, it's like we try to take 3 steps forward and we get blown back 5 miles, and as far as all the development, all the developers grinding, all the VC money putting in these projects that just go crash.
Yeah. Well, Grady, here's the thing, man. I'm going to say this. That's a prime example of why we need to learn how to take profits. For every individual person in the ecosystem or who's involved in cryptocurrencies needs to know what their investment thesis is and their investment plan, and then figure out steps to take profit along the way. You mentioned and it's a cool podium story to have, man, to be like, yeah, I lost $3 million in crypto. And that sounds like, oh man, that's gut wrenching, until most people realize they're like, oh, wait, you were liquid with $3 million in crypto? That's awesome. You were up 3 million. So like knowing, not even like, we'll say stop loss too, right? But stop loss and then learning when to take profits, knowing when to just like lick your wounds, in private and be like, okay, well, maybe I can live to trade another day or invest another day.
Nothing's done in private here. There's no private. It's all out there for everybody to see. The good, the bad, the ugly, baby. Let's go.
That's awesome, man. But yeah, taking profits, I think is one of those like takeaways for me with people getting wrecked on exchanges and getting wrecked by being in the wrong projects, where it's like, dude, did you get ahead? Did you pull your initial out? Like that, those are lessons that I'm having to remind myself of too, where it's like, did I fail to take out my initial? I know better. My initial plus maybe whatever my, I consider a good margin, right? For being invested for a while, like an initial plus 20, even like not being greedy, just like, did I get out or did I, like an idiot, did I diamond head to dust?
Well, hey, let me tell you, here's what I was preaching a couple of years ago. You asked like, what is your narrative? My narrative was get your money out of the banks. The dollar is going to crash. There's going to be a bank run on the dollar. Get your money out of there's now decentralized money. We can bypass the banks. Terra Luna, baby. You were actually in South Korea. You're able just with your Terra Station wallet right there. And I was in all the protocols on Terra. Okay. And I was taking all my profits. I was putting them right in there in the Terra, right in there in the Phantom, all kinds of stable coins and different liquidity pools and Mr. Degenerate degen that I am. Oh, and I had more confidence at the time that Terra would overcome. DeFi will win. DeFi will overtake the banks, and that was the biggest punch in my gut it just shook me so hard. I was in bed for I'm still practically never get out of bed. Still a mental head case. Guess what? I did go work out though. I believe it or not. Finally, for the first time, got out of bed in 15 months. Went and worked out. I'll tell you what, we're out there doing CrossFit, doing some squats. You know, we're warming up with this gal, was my warm-up partner. Okay. And then I'm planking while she's doing squats. And then we go on a 200-yard run. And I about dropped dead in the first 100 feet. Okay. And then I did about 1/10 of the workout and was toast, baby. Couldn't hardly function. And I was toast, and I'm still toast. That was 2 days ago. And I can barely.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Hey,
so 2 years ago, I was Mr. GQ body. That's how bad it is. Bad.
Yeah, man, your conditioning can fall off fast. So Burke is asking in the comments here, maybe on YouTube, I trade, so haven't seen. Got it. It's been some time since I've done primarily mining content. Another little feather on my cap. 2018, I did the very first ever video curriculum for Hivon. At the time, they were called Hive OS. So, and at that time, they weren't as popular in North America as they are now. I think I might have had some small part in that. But no, the main feature was not my mining rigs. I can show you right now. I've got a project. I actually got it right here on hand. But I've got a project, which is just kind of fun. This just for kicks here. You might have to change the angle a little bit, but this is your garden variety space heater conversion of a like where it's just a vertical orientation of a typical Antminer, right? So this is our Bitmain device with pass through right there, and then I've just cut this foam piece into a gasket, into a fitted gasket that places the miner. Does a tension fit of this high airflow HEPA filter. So that way you're able to do both like very, very light sat stacking on Bitcoin. You're able to heat up the house. It's the wrong time of year to release it now, but you're able to heat up the house just a tiny bit. You can do aftermarket firmware like Brains OS, or you can do Hivon, and you can do some of your voltage adjustment there. And then with that high flow HEPA filter, you're not compromising air quality. In fact, you're scrubbing the air by mining. So the air quality of your house gets cleaner by mining inside.
No way.
And it's quiet too. If you use the right firmware, it spins down the delta fans so that they're not, whining like, banshees.
No way. You made that yourself?
Well, I mean, Bitmain made the miner. I feel like the rest was just kind of like, most people, if you sit and think long enough, you'll come up with little contraptions and doodads like this, right? Like, so.
Some people will, not others will not. Okay, that's you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, hey, Burke, I can show you honestly between the filter being what actually, I mean, based on its functionality, you expect the mining rig to be a lot more expensive. Action is asking Seth, how do you get the power supply to be quiet? I'm glad you asked. You can do a fan replacement on the power supply, on the standard Bitmain power supply. And there are, I don't think it's Noctua. I think there's the knockoff, but you can get slower rotating fans for your power supply. Of course, the other thing you can do if you're just tired of all this stuff is literally go to a ranch supply store, or go to any livestock supply store, get one of the larger stainless steel tubs, right? That's a feed trough, and then just fill it with mineral oil for these kinds of rigs. GPU rigs, don't use mineral oil. Please don't use mineral oil for GPUs or PC parts. But for ASICs, they're designed to be basically like bulletproof. You can run them over with your car. They'll keep hashing, right? So just get one of those feed troughs, fill it with mineral oil, dunk this guy in. Don't even take the fans off because they're going to help keep positive liquid flow across all of the heat sinks. And then set it off to one side because these troughs, right, they're shaped like an oval. So you'll get proper convection, right, of the fluid inside, but just leaving the fans on, sitting on one edge, and then it'll circulate around the trough. Just cover it up so that your mineral oil doesn't get dirty. But yeah, now you got a silent miner. You can leave it inside. You can leave it outdoors if you're brave enough. I don't know what the freezing point is of mineral oil, but if you're in Idaho, bonus.
This is a man's man right here, boys and girls. He can work with his hands. He's out there. Like, what can't this man do?
Oh boy, there's probably a really, really long list, Grady, of the stuff that I can't do. I mean, among those things, baking a pie crust is really hard, bro. You ever tried? Shit's impossible.
Oh man, no, I eat hot pockets. We got to work on that. We got to work on the diet.
Yeah, I think your PRs in CrossFit and the hot pockets are directly related, son. We gotta get you off that shit.
That's right. That's right. Let's see if it's even humanly possible for me to get my head out of my rear end and get going. I'll tell you what. Okay, so I got to ask you about Cardano. Also, I want to ask you, how well do you know Jet? Did you meet Jet? Next Crypto Gym, Hourglass, all that. How much of that do you know up and coming?
Oh my gosh. Jet?
Jet with Next Crypto Gym TV show coming, Hourglass Community. He was there at George's party in Vegas. Big things going down. Have you heard about this TV show coming called The Next Crypto Gym?
I've heard of the Next Crypto Gem, and I'm really excited for it. Honestly, everybody who's involved with it makes me very bullish on what they're going to make. I don't know that I remember meeting Jet though.
Okay, so Jet is the man, the behind it all, Mr. Make It Happen. Met him out there in Miami, Decentral Miami. This little whippersnapper running around trying to talk about this TV show. We all thought, he's nuts. I was actually talking to BitBoy, and Jet, was trying to talk to BitBoy about it and telling me about it. And it was wild. And we were just, both BitBoy and I were like, who's this guy? Little skeptical. Well, lo and behold, that was in November. He didn't have anything. He had no connections except one, Kevin D. Harrington, okay, who was the original shark on Shark Tank. Since then, he's managed to get, of all people, George, Mr. Stubborn as an ox himself, George, okay, to come on and be a judge on the show. Leia Helpern, Brian D. Evans, who is also at the party. He's even got BitBoy coming on as a guest appearance. He's got celebrities, all kinds of different things going for this TV show. He's also managed, okay, his partner in the thing is a multi-billionaire. So money was never an issue, okay, for this. And they've got all these distributorships to get this show 150 countries and over a dozen languages, almost on every Direct TV, Prime Time, Amazon Prime, all kinds of different distributors. Anybody can watch it pretty much from anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world can watch this show, and his heart is in the right place. He's grinding, he's pushing, he's out there hustling. And the weight token, okay, which is, he's got a whole bunch of all kinds of stuff going. That's one of the most bullish tokens I'm also on, is the weight token. It's fully circulating. It's not a cash grab. The show had all the finances it needed. So they didn't need finances. And then they're bringing in so much utility for the weight token. That's a fun one. And so George is going to be on that TV show as a judge. Okay. And it's just brought in all these connections, all these different VCs, all these projects, so many of the biggest influencers out there. He's connected with Benjamin Cohen. He's connecting with Crypto Banter quite a bit. Even though Banter is going to be on the other show that okay.
Right.
He's also connected with those guys, because in this world, we get some crypto TV shows that is geared towards people out there who aren't crypto minded people getting exposure. Likely, this will have the opportunity to be in front of even hundreds of millions of people. And so I'm so bullish on what he's doing and everything that's come from that with George and all these. It's got him out of his little shell,
Sure.
So,
Yeah. No, George he's an inspiration, man. As far as, because let's be very real, right? Like, if you have kids, or if you remember being a kid, right, you come to this life, you come to this world with a bit of the personality that you're going to have, right, for the rest of your life. And it takes a bit of effort to break out of that, like you were saying, and adapt and have something of a character arc, right, throughout your life. Some people just don't, it's not naturally gifted to us, right? It does require some work and life experience. So that's super cool and inspiring to see, because so many of us are kind of nerds, right? Like, dude, you can see it right there. I've got this is a prototype wallet that I was the first in the world to be permitted to not only test, but tear down and break.
oh,
So I've got a little like board right here, right? This is the Keystone V3, the Keystone Pro V3, the main board. And this is a production version of the main board. I just proved to them that I would destroy the rest of it. And so they're just hoping I never reassemble it somehow. But all I'm saying is some of us get really nerdy, and dude, we could like rabbit hole this stuff for a week straight, not come up for air, not see anybody, not kiss our wife. Like, it's bad, bro. When you're wired that way, it's bad. So you have to find a way to like temper that and adapt in life. And that little tirade is just to say, like, kudos to George. He's finding a way, man. He's finding a way to make the adaptations he needs if he needs them.
I'll tell you what, if there's ever a zombie apocalypse, I would certainly want you in my back pocket, my man. So, okay. I know. So George was always in his own little bubble. Like, he would never break out, of his shell and go connect, like collaborate with other people out there. He's just doing his thing. Well, now that's changing. And what's blowing my mind is that he really has a heart that's just trying to be a blessing. He's not trying to get anything out of this. He's starting this new channel. Okay. And he's already kind of done it before, but he's got this channel, Cryptos Are Us Plus. He's really pushing it, and he wants to really launch this thing. And he's asked me, believe it or not, to help with this along with some others. I'm so pumped for this. I'll be doing a gaming section for this channel. And even we've talked in the past about doing a little gaming section on his show, his main channel, but he's really been pushing for this. And I think, man, as soon as the end of next week or a couple of weeks out, we'll be cranking out some content here. That's fun. But the reason why I bring all this up, like, I think Jet really helped push George out there to really more and more be a servant to the space. I could see you on that TV. I could really see you connecting with Jet. You would be perfect for that TV show. I will be sure next time we're together and Jet's there, I will introduce you guys. Season 2 is going to be, so season 1 starts on September 7th. Okay. It's 7 weeks long, and it's going to be rerun like crazy. Season 2, they're going to start shooting that as soon as maybe the end of the year. They're not going to waste time. And
wow.
So, man, I could see you on that TV show, baby. It's, as GF Burke said right here, Lifer is going to be in the 2nd season, baby. Crypto Lifer and all kinds, like Crypto Zombie. He's really connected with all kinds of other influencers out there. I love it. I could see you on that show.
Well, definitely appreciate that. I think sometimes there's this perception that if people don't see you publishing on YouTube at a specific cadence that they think is enough, that you're not working. Grady, let's talk about what work looks like in this industry, because we commiserated about this before the show kind of got started, man. So if it's okay, I'm gonna do a tiny bit of interview judo here. I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna take it to you, brother.
Go.
What does it mean to work in this space? I mean, because I'm not saying that publishing on YouTube is not work. It's work. But what are other ways that people contribute? And like you said, play the giver's game in this space every day and show up every day.
My gosh. All you got to do, boys and girls, is go to this man's Twitter account right here. We're going to show it again. Okay. All right. And then click the check, turn on notifications. All right. Here's what you're going to see. Mind Your Biz is speaking. Mind Your Biz is speaking. Then you're going to look again, after you try and jump into that spaces. Okay. And you're like, all right, just wrap that one up. Oop. Mind Your Biz is speaking again. Oop, like nonstop grinding. Okay. And it is such a grind. It's such a mental grind. Lifer, speaking of Lifer and Miss Team Crypto, we're talking about that today, how hard it is to grind through the bear market. It takes some phenomenal resolve, and you have to have your face set like a flint where you don't care. Like you hustle for good outcome, but it's not about the outcome. It's passion driven. You have a strong passion and why and a purpose for whatever it is that you're trying to do. Now, to answer your question about how can we help, man, that's my heart. My heart is to help the space, to help, because I think it's going to be huge. Just like you guys talked about last night on yesterday on Sin City Crypto with Gary Cardone. you guys were talking about, Gary was talking about how massive this space will become. He said it's going to be a tsunami that nobody's ready for. The amount of money that's going to pour into the space. And I think it might start a little bit with gaming. Okay. And I love helping. There's so much nonsense out there. There's so much, it's weird. There's so many people out there wanting to hack and steal your money and do all kinds of shady things. To find the good ones is so hard to find. It's usually a shit show. These guys don't know how to run a business. They don't know how to hire and fire. They don't know how to set up systems and processes that can be duplicated on mass scale. Like Kingdoms, they hired 50 people. They hired 50 people like in a matter of a month. They didn't know what they were doing when they did that. How to run a business and all that. It's a shit show. These are just human beings, with feelings and emotions. And it's so hard to do this. I don't even know if that ramble even came close to answering your question.
Yeah, no. So I agree. You mentioned, working in the industry. So when you work every day in the industry, it's there's always some new aspect of it that you need to grind on. So what many people maybe are not aware of is that when I stopped actively just doing, say, like my what was it, the mining efficiency spreadsheets, the data spreadsheets that I created for the mining community for free for a couple of years, when I just lost steam on that, it's because I was also working. First off, miners, generally speaking, miners tend to be hypercritical, right? They're like there's a man's man and there's a nerd's nerd. And people who harp on mining tend to be a nerd's nerd. And hey, I say that out of love because it takes one to know one, right? So, but like there tends to be this sort of like everything is sort of a knowledge measuring contest, right? Where people are like, well, I figured out how to undervolt this one card better than you, so I got more efficiency there. And you don't understand, man. That guy's an idiot. It's like you make one tiny mistake, and all of a sudden, everything you've ever learned your entire life is invalid. You're a fool. You're a fraud. You're a jerk. You're ugly, right? And whatever. Like your dog is rabid. Like all this stuff, right? So there tends to be a bit of an issue with trying to create content for a full audience like this of people who are basically waiting for every single nerdy opportunity to try to crucify you. Like they live for that, right? Where they're like, see, I can prove to you I'm smarter than you. It's like, dude, got it. That's fine. That helps you feel strong for like 15 minutes. Come over here, get a hug, because like clearly your mom didn't do it enough, or your dad didn't. If he was around, like, sorry to bring it to that level, but like if you didn't get enough love from your parents, bro, I'm here for you, right? Like, don't get feeling all harsh, right? Like, just relax a little bit. And if you really want to do this thing, like, here you go. Here's some resources. I threw out that community web spreadsheet for years. And then I was the first person to blow the whistle on chia mining and chia farming and explain why it wasn't scalable. And dude, I've got a couple of 2U racks right here that are storage dense, where I was looking at doing the plotting and having that be like a regular thing. And I realized, wait a second, this is bullshit. Nobody's paying attention to the actual adoption curve and the plotting curve. Nobody realizes they're going to go out and buy at that point now overpriced hard drive. Dude, since when in our lives have hard drives been sold at a premium? Well, only when chia mining was popular. So I was the first person to blow the whistle on it and said, hey, whoa. That for me kind of really clearly marked the beginning of the end, when I was like, okay, when the merge comes up, and I even said on a roundtable stream with Bitsby Trippin, Son of a Tech, Red Panda Mining, I think tuned in anonymously, right, with no camera on. Okay. We had Serpent X Tech, a bunch of other like known good guys, Hawk Mining, a bunch of cool dudes, right? Really cool dudes. Some of them I've actually hung out with in person, right? Hawk, I see you, man. Everything else, and everybody else there. So we did this roundtable for the Ethereum merge, and everybody asked, like, hey, so what are you planning on mining after the merge? And I said, guys, it is all about node infrastructure. I'm going to be doing tutorials on how to hold your crypto in a more sovereign way, because not enough people use hardware wallets. And I'm going to be doing tutorials on how to, for example, run your own, say, like white labeled full Bitcoin nodes here. This is one that was just a micro PC instead of it being a Raspberry Pi. So if anything, I'm doing content more like that, plus a couple of more esoteric wallets like the Passport, Foundation Devices Passport 2. and a couple of these hardware devices that it's just that feels more urgent to me because we got a lot of people whose real problem is they don't have enough safe and secure exposure to crypto. Not that they need to figure out how to mine right away. And if they want to do that, there are great channels for that. Serpent X Tech is one of the real ones. You got a couple other channels that are really, really big, but frankly are not going to give you the that direct attention. So like that's why I just stopped with the whole like, okay, I'm not going to go try to spend $20,000 on the latest GPUs to try to impress a YouTube audience that largely tells me that I'm wrong anyway. Right? Like that to me was like, bro, buying things for people who are unimpressed and literally are waiting for an opportunity to tell you that you're trash. I was just done.
You know, we have an epidemic in our world today of people with their hip shot opinions. Okay. There's a core value, I guess, that's been grinded into me, maybe because I used to be a hardcore preacher. Okay. About.
Yeah. I noticed you quoted the Bible. Most people didn't catch that reference.
Oh, when? I do it in
you mentioned setting your face like a flint, and you made me think about it in Spanish. Puesto mi cara como un pedernal.
Oh,
don't ask me why I know that one in Spanish, but I do.
That happens all the time. I memorized the whole New Testament. I used to be a hardcore missionary and preacher, and I was nuts. Okay, but I think it was probably from there. There are so many times when I've just realized, oh, I was wrong, or oh, I was wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have been so confident about what I was talking about. Okay. So just over time, it became just this hard character thing to never talk about something if you don't have all the information. If you don't have all the information, you got to give people the benefit of the doubt. Okay. And you can have questions or concerns maybe, but give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay. And do your investigation. Then when you actually know what you're talking about, then you can get out there and talk about it. Fine. And whatever way you want to make a fool out of yourself half the time when you're out there, people are out there talking about things, and people all the time, hip shot opinions, when they don't have a clue, they don't know the first thing about what they're talking about. And it's nuts how people do that so confidently. So they're so bold. They'll get in there and talk shit about you as if they know you. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. See, and Grady, I'm only comfortable doing that when it's as a joke, right? Realistically, right? My dad, God rest his soul, something he used to love to say was laugh and the world laughs with you. And so I'm like, that's a fact right there. Seriously, there's always people with their own, it might be insecurity. It might just be pain, dude. People are going through some shit that you can't see. And so when people are acting out, and especially when they're acting up and trying to take like cheap shots at you, first off, most of the time when people do that, it's because in their minds, they're punching up. They're not punching down on you. They're like, well, this guy's got that thing figured out, or whatever it is. You seem self-assured in some way or confident. And so they take a cheap shot at you because they're like, yeah, the big homie can take it. He can take it. And, he'll be, and what if I can get him to flinch, if I can get him to move, then I win. It's like a game. It's like, you got to take it in stride.
It's so odd to me.
But I'll say with the mining content though, I was just like, you know what? It was always cheap shots all the time, right? Where it's like all the time, where it's like, everyone's like, no, man, you're literally an idiot. You're literally a moron. It's like, dude, I've basically only given you stuff. And I think I put like an affiliate link on one out of every 10 things. And even that, like, you're ready to just like nail me for that one. Like, I'm not allowed to ever earn anything for my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are so out of shape. You're so bent out of shape. And like, if I did an expose on the ad revenue and some of the other sponsorships that some of their favorite influencers got, like, it's not rocket science. And if you work in the industry, you can pretty much figure out some of these numbers based on some publicly available data. So it's kind of like, you guys don't seem to understand that this can be business and pleasure. Like, you can talk passionately, and if enough people tune in, you can earn from it too. So it's more nuanced than you want to make it out to be. That's why I don't ever give people a time of day on Twitter when they do the whole like influencer witch hunting, right? And they want to talk trash about Ben Armstrong or George or nobody ever talks trash about the Alcoin Daily brothers, but but anybody else, right, who's really visible, they want to talk trash on all these people and try to tear them down. And I'm like, dude, you wouldn't last a day in their shoes. What are you talking about?
Right.
What do you mean? You couldn't handle the pressure and the heat.
I'll tell you what,
Like,
I followed BitBoy for years, and I don't, it's like people are so hard on him. I know he's a crazy, insane, like lunatic, narcissistic, crazy guy, but it's like people take it so far. I've watched him for years. I saw him promoting all those shit coins all the time, and then he stopped, and repented. And he's pretty hard. I've talked to him in detail about it. It's like, I don't think he's the scammer. Why do people get out there and do that? I don't know.
Yeah, right. And that's just it. I've said it before on record. I'll say it again. If you really think that BitBoy or anybody else who's in the public sphere is a legitimate scammer, do me a favor and see how comfortable you are contacting the SEC and the FBI with your personal docs, because they're going to ask you to file a full report completely doxing yourself. But with your personal docs, you go ahead and file that complaint to the SEC or to the FBI, depending on whether or not it was promoting unregistered securities or you think it's an outright scam, like actual fraud, because those are your two organizations. There you go. Now, I'm not going to go the last mile of Googling their phone number for you, but you can probably figure that out on your own. And like, if you really think something bad was done, go contact the authorities, have fun with that. But like, stop whining on social media as though it's going to make anybody change.
I know. It's like people get weird in the bear market too. And it just compounds and it's just nuts. I thought after the last bear market, nothing could get worse than that. This bear market has been just completely rocked me to the core. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Grady, we haven't seen Max Payne yet though, man. I genuinely believe that it can and will get worse. Okay, tell me. You think like before the halving, we're going to see another big downturn for a bit? I think that at any moment there are a number of like macro influences that can kind of throw us back into a deeper black swan. There could be additional centralized custodians, including central banks and retail banks, that are not solvent, and that may come to light in that time. So there's any number of things that where we think like, okay, finally we've, the ground stopped shaking, the earthquake's over, whatever. And it's like, nope, there's going to be an aftershock. Watch out. And when it happens, y'all are going to be standing in some stupid place, like on the edge of a cliff, not storing away like useful goods, not focusing on zeroing out your debt on real estate and on all personal debts and stuff, not doing all the stuff you need to do. Like, have a lot of people who are just really not lining themselves up to be fault tolerant, right? To be able to withstand another possible leg down across markets, commodities, and so forth. Not just crypto, but everything. You think, don't you think though, if some more banks start collapsing, isn't that bullish for Bitcoin? Just Bitcoin alone. I know it's not good if that happens, but for Bitcoin, don't you see that maybe pumping or no? Yeah. So it was supposed to do that a couple of years ago and it didn't. It failed its first stress test. And I don't think that this doesn't mean that I'm abandoning the mission and vision of Bitcoin. I do believe that it is going to become, it is going to fill that role at some point in the future. But I think if it happens now, I think some of the on-ramps they feel a little bit too convenient, if I can frame it that way, where if you use Bitcoin, say in El Salvador, their on-ramps and off-ramps are just they're so tightly controlled by the government there that you pretty much for all intents and purposes, the only way to use it practically in El Salvador, if you're a citizen, right, and you're earning a much lower income, like the income of a developing nation, the only practical way to use it is on the Lightning Network, which is kind of a joke. So that's all custodial. Most of the Lightning channels that you would use in El Salvador are being run by the state or by third-party sponsors that are completely state-friendly. So everything you're doing there is for sure being surveilled. So I worry a little bit about that balance between Bitcoin being dangerous freedom, but the reality of mass onboarding, meaning that Bitcoin will be highly surveilled and centralized actually in terms of people's because of day-to-day access points. Because of the Lightning Network, it makes it more centralized, you're saying? In part, but also because of these state-run ATMs. Imagine that you're only operating on layer 1 with Bitcoin, but the only way you're ever meaningfully on-ramping and off-ramping with any kind of fiat currencies is that an ATM where all of those transactions are being logged. Certainly here in the United States, ATM operators or BTM operators, they're required to keep logs. They could furnish to law enforcement at any time. And that's sometimes even without any kind of a subpoena or any kind of like legal writ. They can just do it because a law enforcement agency asked them nicely or paid them. They can sometimes sell that data. So be careful, you know, in terms of service. That's here in the States. Now imagine in a country like El Salvador, where they, you know, nobody's complaining about MS-13 being taken off the streets, which is good and bad, right? Like, yeah, we don't want gang members on the streets, but bro, we have this thing called the rule of law here, where if you just happen to have a tattoo from whatever, 10 years ago, could you imagine the cops in your town being given full permission to round you up and throw you into the state pen, like with the hardened guys, the dudes that are legit rapists and murderers? Yeah. I don't like that program, bro. Like, and that's what they're doing in El Salvador in the name of cleaning things up. Like, I don't know, man. It doesn't like altogether, it doesn't pass the sniff test. There's some elements of it that are cool, but when you mix it all together, it's like, nah, man, there's a little fleck of shit in there somewhere. I don't know where it is, but you mixed it in real good.
Okay, interesting. I haven't heard a pushback like that on what El Salvador is doing. I thought what they're doing is awesome, but I don't know. Obviously, you know more than I do on that.
Well, I think I'm just more paranoid, man. I don't know if I actually know anything more, Grady. I'm just probably more paranoid.
Man. Okay, so how if you think there might be another real big downturn and it might tie into on and off ramps, what can we do? And banks collapsing. So what can we do? What are you doing with your? So you're holding some Bitcoin on a ledger or something, I'm guessing.
I am.
Okay.
Prove it. So I'm gonna just throw something out here. Burke keeps making comments. I'm gonna say that my worldview aligns a lot with Burke, and I'll frame it this way: if you haven't already been dollar cost averaging into lead and brass, you should. Lead and brass.
I've got a little mini artillery downstairs here.
Lead and brass, my friend, because does it fit some of the characteristics of sound money? Is it divisible? Well, no, unless you consider a brick of ammo divisible into individual rounds. That's divisible. Divisible, right? Is it portable? Yeah, actually, if you whatever, man. If the caliber du jour, right? If the sort of like if the new world penny or the new world dime becomes 22 long rifle because it's useful for hunting small game and it's small and portable, right?
Yeah.
If you talk about preppers, right? They're like, no, man, your backpack guns got to be something based on a 1022, right? As a platform. That's what you hear from a lot of them, right? You base it on 1022, 22 long rifle. It's portable. Is it divisible? Not any more than that one unit, but let's call that the base unit. That is the new dime or the new dollar, right? Is one round of 22 long rifle, right? Is it scarce? Well, no, but it's functional, and it becomes scarce in that it's expendable, right? So if it's used, it's gone. It becomes more scarce if it's being used. Right. So the utility does add to some scarcity, if that makes sense. So it still fits the definition of sound money, right? Of a hard store of value.
For sure.
So it actually checks a lot of boxes that Bitcoin does, and it works in the absence of any IT at all. Like we could have a full global meltdown, nuclear winter, like literally EMP, right? Electromagnetic pulses everywhere. Your 22 long rifle, not going to be affected. It's going to be like Honey Badger, just doesn't care. And it'll let you, right? A box of about 500 of those. It's annoying to add that little brick of 500 rounds of 22 long rifle into your backpack. You'll feel it, right? If you're really, going a long distance on a ruck march, but you can do it. You manage it. It's not going to break you.
Oh,
right?
Were you military?
No, I was not.
You seem like you could have been a military guy.
That was the problem, man. The Navy wanted to give the recruiter was sweet talking me into like going whatever, either officer school or into the nuke program, and I was like, this feels like a lie. I think I know better than you about where this is headed. Like, I think I'm good, man. No,
same. I can't. Yeah, it's like it's such a racket. Our world. What in the heck? This world that we live in. Is there any hope for planet Earth, Seth?
Dude, seriously, when the conversation comes to that, like I go back to my faith roots, and I do say a little silent prayer, like Jesus, take us home, like now. There might only be one man for the job.
Like now, one man for the job. Holy
Right.
shit. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
oh my gosh. I had Loudmouth on last week, and man, we got Loudmouth up on his soapbox, and he preached for about an hour on here. It was wild.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that I've got a lot of love for Loudmouth. We've spent a lot of time in person just talking about life and a lot of important. I mean, in the middle of nowhere. I mean, literally the middle of of not an ocean, but a sea out in Southeast Asia, on the back of somebody's probably stolen yacht that still smelled like it was it smelled like somebody had borrowed it while it was in for its annual repairs. But we've been in the middle of nowhere, feeling like seasick, and just talking about life and everything. I've got mad respect for how he pretty much doesn't cease to preach. That's his story, and he sticks to it. So
I love that guy. I really do. I'm going to get him back on and actually talk about what we wanted to talk about, because it just became a sermon. The whole thing was like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I love
that. Yeah, I've already brought you over an hour at that, and I didn't mean to preach per se, but you talk about doom and gloom, and I'm like, man, they're like, if you're the praying type, it's not a bad option these days. Maybe go for it.
I'll tell you what. Okay, last thing before we wrap up, got to ask you about Cardano. So I'm listening to Crypto Crow on there on your channel, talking about Cardano doing all this innovation and all this and that. And here I was in Cardano when it was at less than a penny. Okay,
dude.
Right? And then sold, and then bought, and then sold again. So I just did pretty good with Cardano. That was one of the few. We've been in about 300 projects that went to zero and held all the way down. Okay, but we've had some big winners, okay, in my days. And Cardano's one of them. I've been watching Charles Hoskinson for 5 years, talking about all these grandiose visions, baking the unbanked out there in Africa. Okay, and I was out there. I was running an orphanage in Kenya out there, okay, like the poorest spot in the world. I was there, no road. It was just nuts. Total shit show, by the way. Okay, and turning it around, crazy. I've seen it. Okay, and I've been, I get in there. I'm in all these. I'm a degenerate degen. All right, and so I've been in Phantom and all the protocols there. I was in Luna, like we said, Cosmos, all the whole ecosystem everywhere. All these different DeFi, Avalanche, all these other chains, Arbitrum, and on and on and on. Polygon, just all the different chains, degen, all kinds of stuff, living a lot in DeFi kingdoms. For example, who's developing out, they've got their own blockchain. They've been out for less than 2 years, DeFi kingdoms. They've got their own blockchain. They're on 2 different realms. We can bridge. We can merge 2 NFTs together and bridge them flawlessly, cross-chain. It's on 2 different chains. All this massive, mind-blowing ecosystem just within DeFi kingdoms alone. For example, doing all this, we're summoning heroes. We're all these genetics, the most complex NFTs you can imagine. And it works. And it does 3 million transactions per day on the DFK chain because it's an Avalanche subnet. This stuff's working. Cosmos. We got Binance Smart Chain. We had Terra Luna doing twice the number of transactions, okay, every day than Bitcoin and Ethereum entire networks combined. Just all kinds of innovation going on with Cosmos, for example. And it's tested. It's battle tested. It's working. You can get in there and do all kinds of stuff and all kinds of these different projects. I get into Cardano and I can't even connect the damn wallet and do a trade on a DEX. It's not working. All right. And so meanwhile, this he's been talking about this, Charles, for 7 years. And so when I hear people, talk about the tech of Cardano, and go into, I'm always like, wait, am I missing something? My radar, are you guys actually in there trying to use it and do stuff? And then it just doesn't work? Or what am I missing here? I wanted to ask you, I got to ask you that.
Yeah. So I'm going to need to keep some sources anonymous on this little comment here.
Okay.
But I've heard, as you know, I work in publishing, I work in media, I work in marketing, I work in PR. I talk to a lot of people who've been writing in this space for a long time, even some people who are anonymous. So again, there won't be any sources named here, but I have spoken to other people who write like me.
Okay.
And they've said, yeah, I spoke to some people who were early developers in the Cardano ecosystem.
Yep.
And at least from where they were sitting, they said that in their opinion, being able to deliver the kind of functionality that's proposed on a UTXO blockchain, the way that Cardano is, similar to Bitcoin's like core DNA, we'll say, UTXOs, instead of the account system of Ethereum or the IBC system, right, and the associated consensus models of IBC, and then even Polygon, right, does it a little bit differently. They said, yeah, no, the way it's outlined and architected right now, we can never make it work.
Yeah.
It will never work the way it's architected and outlined today, right now. Okay. This is a few years ago they made this comment. And again, sorry, I can't name sources. And I think I'd maybe make this person's life hard if I did.
I've heard that. And you just see the number of transactions and you see the number of developers. It's just doesn't, maybe I'm wrong. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. And maybe, right. And maybe I am too. This is a quote. This is a third-hand quote. Second-hand quote. I spoke to the person who heard it directly from this developer, and we used to work freelance together pretty regularly. So we had a couple of conversations about this. But yeah, they said no, that developer was totally confident that their job was not a dead end, that they'd have the appearance of a lot of work for a lot of years, because they'd be like, oh, one more update, we're so close, oh, we got to build this thing over here. But it's like they're like public works, public projects, right? Like where it's kind of like, yeah, we're just going to keep on funding these small initiatives to keep developers on board to show that there's progress being made. But what are we really delivering in terms of user experience? Like what you said, Grady, like, yeah, how do I connect my wallet and just make it go? Like, where's the gas pedal?
Right. How can we do anything on here? It's like, and so there's so many like strong opinions on both sides. Some people are just so anti-Cardano, and I had good people, good guys I like. They're like, it's a meme coin at this point. I've had big DeFi guys say that. What's your stance on it now? Is that kind of still where you're at with it, or?
Yeah, me. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not like anti-Cardano. I really do like the way they're trying to make the validator infrastructure as decentralized as possible. Yeah. And they've got a really great narrative surrounding fair launch mechanics, which is more than you can say about Ethereum with the ICO of Ethereum. It's still kind of mind-blowing that Ethereum was not outright labeled security.
And Cardano was? It's like, but that's not going anywhere.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, right? So, but for my part, I've kind of been taking too much of a wait and see approach, when what I really needed to do was I needed to just ape in at below 1 penny the way you did and not worry about functionality at all. Like in hindsight, like that, and it sounds so crazy. We were talking about shitcoins earlier today and in another space, right? Like the shitcoiner mentality has made more millionaires than the cautious, futurist, technologist, build first. Look, I've got to prove all my value by going and buying a hangar, a hangar filled with mining rigs, right? And then proof of work. It's like, dude, in retrospect, it almost feels like a sucker's game. I've got a brother who was mining back in 2012, 2013, and he pre-ordered some of the earliest Bitcoin ASICs, and a lot of those rugged. They never delivered. And he was like, man, even with the ones that did deliver, I'm looking back and running the numbers, I would have been better off just buying Bitcoin with my money. Like, why did I order this piece of crap miner? Obviously, it's a paperweight now, right? 10 years later. Yeah. But even back then, 5 years on, he was like, man, why didn't I just buy Bitcoin right then at spot, spot pricing, and just hodl it for a minute, right? Like, not worry about it. And I think that, like, a bit more the degen shitcoiner mentality, right? Approaching these markets. I mean, I'm looking through Trade Ogre right now and kind of thinking like, man, do I have some dry powder right now? I got to start setting some limit orders for these other speculative plays. Maybe I do want to grab a little deeper bag of Caspa and Flux and a few others there, man. Because that mentality, frankly, that kind of boldness, Grady, that's what seems to make millionaires and even billionaires in this space. And everybody else is like, they always seem to kind of have regret a few years on, where they're like, yeah, it's almost like I tried too hard. Like I just needed to be just balls to the wall, sprinting at what looked cool.
I'll tell you what. So yeah, I bought Cardano at less than a penny, and I bought more at 5 cents, 12 cents, went all the way up to $1.26, maybe $1.28. Okay. I sold like 2x my initial investment at $1.26. And then it rode it the rest all the way back down, DCing, starting at like 75 cents, 50 cents, 30 cents, 20 cents, 5 cents, and like face set like a flint. I was buying at 5 cents continuously. Then, all right, and I almost gave up on crypto altogether. My buddy almost convinced me to get out of it. We thought maybe crypto was going to die. Maybe back then, that was a little more of a fear. Back then, that maybe like the government crypto maybe is just going to die. I actually thought that. I almost sold all of it out, but I didn't. I hung in there, and then all the way, I actually sold way too much at like 36 cents, but kept selling all the way right at the top, 310. I sold all of it, and then it fell back down again and started buying up more. And so,
Nice.
right. And that back then, I was such a believer in Cardano. It was like my understanding back then, 2021, 2020, it was like I was waiting for a cut and paste approach, like all these mind-blowing, phenomenal breakthroughs for Cardano 2 or 3 years ago. Okay, and it's still like, what the hell? Like, it's like, what's up with all these delays? Like, hello? Like, when do we like draw the line and say, all right, what Charles Hoskin, what the hell? I'm going to be a rare Evo. He's going to be there. I'm honestly though, I still wanted to succeed. I want his vision to be real. Okay,
sure.
I'm hoping so, but man, sometimes.
Yeah, no, but to take 7 years to deliver a working blockchain is not. I don't know, man. I think they're doing something really difficult, and I respect the heck out of them doing something that's really, really difficult. But when it comes to getting a blockchain to work, the graphene blockchain that was developed by MIT, they did that years ago. That's open source. It's totally public. You can fork that, uses proof of stake. It's totally usable, high transactional throughput, finality in a very short period of time, smart contract capable, and it's in the open source. Why? Because you had a bunch of genuine like PhD whiz kids who were like, oh, well, what are we trying to build here? We're professional programmers. All we do is programming. We're going to architect something that's going to be really hard to it's going to deal with the blockchain trilemma, right? That Vitalik outlined, right? Of security, scalability, and decentralization. Well, yeah, they said, okay, well, this can be permissioned. So it's not as decentralized as maybe you might want, but it could be. So that's a variable you can adjust there. But the graphene blockchain and that code base already solved that problem. IBC, application specific chains. It doesn't take you 7 years to launch a new one. It takes you 7 days to launch a new one, have seed nodes up, and have a bootstrapping liquidity pool set up on like Osmosis. Yeah, that's it. Takes 7 days, and if you know what you're doing, you can fork Geth and you can make a copy of like Ethereum or Binance Smart Chain, or launch a subnet or a supernet, right, on Polygon or Avalanche in under 7 days, and go list liquidity on their major DEX, and then bootstrap liquidity that way. It does not take 7 years to deliver a blockchain project that can do smart contracts at scale. So, like, on the one hand, like, I'm not anti-Cardano. On the other hand, when I sit and think about it long enough, I'm like you. I start to get more and more like, dude, seriously? Wait a second. Like, so it's pure speculation. For me, I would have to completely shut off my brain and be like, nah, man, DGen play only. Like, go, like, whatever. Every time you're going to go look at your Cardano portfolio, like, go, like, whatever, like, punch yourself in the face a couple times, run into a brick wall, and spray, like, mace yourself, and then look at your portfolio and be like, okay, how am I doing? Okay. Right. Like, you just can't think about it. You can't let yourself think about it.
I'll tell you what, if that thing's still in the top 10, if Charles Hoskinson wasn't there, listen, you just remove him out, okay, of that equation. That isn't even in the top 1,000 coin. I mean, we got people in DeFi kingdoms bitching about all their delays. That look at all they've done. They haven't even been out for 2 years. And all this development and innovation, they're like blazing trails never seen before in crypto, such as combining 2 NFTs together and sending them cross-chain in one transaction. Like, just that alone, several different things like that. And
Yeah, no, people crap on that, but dude, as far as innovations go, the amount of gas fees saved and the amount of efficiency there, like gained, if every single smart contract were made 200% efficient, like you just said, we double the throughput of Ethereum
yeah. And so
and every EVM chain.
here's the crazy thing. I don't know if you remember Christian Peter. He was out there with me. He's my buddy out there at George's event. Christian Peter, he's got a YouTube channel too. I do a weekly video with him. He's a dev.
Dude, I actually didn't meet him. This is terrible. I should have worked through him a little more diligently, I think. But
you know what?
I didn't meet Christian.
Hang on. You might remember this guy. Hang on.
Yeah, if I saw him, I think I would.
Yeah, I bet you. Here, live. Let's get a big fat thumbnail. Okay, can we zoom in? All right, zoom.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, Christian. Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, he was totally like the dude. He just abides. He was totally
dude,
chilling.
man. Okay, wait, where'd he go? Hello.
You scrolled past him. He was up farther.
Well, hang on. There's a better
seasoned gentleman, yes?
Yeah, right here. That's him.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, man. Super cool.
He is like such a good dude. He's a dev. Crypto Tro is in the house here too.
Man, smart. Yeah, you can tell, smart monkey, man. He's got the light of intelligence like just beaming out of his eyes like a superhuman.
He does. He's a dev and he's does all kinds of stuff. He's a great content creator as well. He's just really well versed when he's so fun to do streams with. He just gets on here and he'll go deep into, and he's telling me that when ZK Sync, when all that gets squared away, we're not going to need anything else. All the Ethereum compatible, EVM compatible blockchains, it'll be fractions of a penny. It'll be more secure. It'll be better in every way. And it's just going to like, boom, like trump everything. And it's bullish for Ethereum all at the same time. That was interesting to hear. So
yeah, layer twos. I think that they do present a unique opportunity, but I think there's still probably more development that needs to take place before more people are comfortable with it. Right. Okay. And it's like, oh yeah, we're all using layer twos like ZK Sync all the time. Right. There's and then some other ERC or EIP standards that have now been passed and put into ERCs, your 4337s, your 6551s, some of these other like custody schemes that help in the same way to how you were saying before, being able to combine NFTs and send in a single transaction bridge. You got some other unique custody schemes that are happening with ERC standards on Ethereum that need to make their way out to other EVM chains before I think ZK Sync can really have that takeover. But yeah, man, no, it's a bright future.
Oh man, yeah. He's saying that every EVM compatible chain will essentially be able to like have fractions of a penny fees on all of them. And so it's just interesting. He shook my world even. So I'm such a big Cosmos fan and it's battle tested, but you're right. Everything needs to be battle tested hardcore.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Especially, like you're saying, Cosmos Hub, Atom 2.0 and being able to correct their gas fee ecosystem problem or the gas fee problem with the Atom token. If they can get that running, it's going to be a race, right, between Cosmos and Atom 2.0, and then solutions like this, where you've already got so much TVL captive on Ethereum and the EVM chains. So yeah, Cosmos Hub would need to be able to iron out some of their gas fees fast, and then probably still get a 6 to 12 month head start on getting all those standards propagated out for ZK Sync to use.
Oh yeah,
but I mean,
all the
could happen.
EVM compatibility too that they're trying to do, right? Interesting. Man, it's so interesting.
That's why it's probably the best bet. It's probably just to go degen, man. If you got $1,000 plus in dry powder to throw at each one of these, like you throw it at them at the most regular cadence you can, right? Yep. So if you want to do a weekly $1,000 DCA into all these different projects, go for it. I know it's a lot to manage. I know it sounds like an incredibly irresponsible thing to say, but we're nearing bottom support if we haven't already reached it. And if we do see another leg down, like we'll very likely test bottom support with that leg down. So it really is the time to figure out where your conviction is and what your risk appetite is. And look yourself in the mirror and be like, all right, do I, what size are my balls today?
Right. See, it's so anti how I am though. What I want to find
Right.
are those projects that are for real, that will last, where we don't need, we don't even realize we need the crypto to like function in our everyday life.
Sure.
But it's like, you're right. We got to get some freaking Pepe and play these games. And I hate it. I'm like not a trader, right? I'm Mr. All the wrong moves most of the time when it comes to trading, except the ones that are long-term winners. And then it's like, all right, I'm up 10x, I'll take a little profit. And then it's up 100x, got 1,000x on Binance coin. Okay. And yeah, I was taking my profits too soon and too quick. That's actually my biggest mistake I've ever made in crypto.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, knowing how and knowing when and how to take profits.
Right. That's right. I got a lot wiser. Like with CRO, I bought a whole bunch of that at crypto.com coin at 5 cents, and then 36 grand to get that credit card, that to get the better tier on that debit card, and then sold out, started selling at 40 cents a little bit, started selling at 50 cents more, and 55 and 60, and then 65 and 70 is like, and then by the time it hit $1, I had sold all of it. Boom. Right at the top, baby.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I finally wisened up there because with Cardano, with Binance coin, like I probably missed out because I sold so early on those, like 10 million plus or more of potential gains, which that's more than my 3 million in losses. And when I say it's really 2 million of like losses in cash, the other million was just the crypto dropping. So
yeah, no, that's still, dude, it's significant though, still to take a 7-figure hit, to take a 7-figure whatever tackle and still get up and say, well, you want to keep playing.
Right.
It's cool, man.
And it's hard to do. I'll tell you what, there's been days where I didn't want to live anymore. I still deal with that all the time. And, it's been hard. It's so hard to keep going, grinding, but it's coming.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, man. Well, Grady, let me say something a little bit, shift gears here a little bit and take it away from crypto, man. Like at the end of the day, man, life is precious and happiness is a choice, and you can surround yourself with people who make your life awesome and whose life you make awesome. You can be there for good people and just know, like as a mantra, good people will be there for you. And that's the vibe that I always get from you, is that your spirit is lifted up, right? Like you're always trying to lift others up. But just know that I see you, brother. And like you inviting me on the channel is why I came here. I'm not like, let's be real. The crypto is cool, but at the end of the day, like the crypto isn't, it's not the end. It's a means. It's just a vehicle to get us where we want to go.
That's right.
It's just a means to an end. Like at the end of the day, like it's the people, it's the relationships.
Yep.
It's being there for good people, so we attract better people into our life to help us get what we need, and and in exchange, like the economy there, right? The token economy there is giving other people what they need, like socially, right, interpersonally, just relationships. I mean, because realistically, in 100 years, man, no matter how successful we all are in this endeavor, 100 years after we die, precious few of us will have our names remembered. Precious few.
Yes.
Very, very few. So building those relationships and living on in others, and like that matters so much more, man. And that shines through with you, my good friend. Like that matters. And so I really appreciate it about you. Like no matter what happens to portfolios, all that stuff is just like, it's secondary, bro. It doesn't matter.
That's right. That's right. And we learn our lessons, and if we can hang in there and push through, and sometimes it's hard. It's like really hard to pick yourself back up and keep going. But when we can do that and actually keep grinding through, man, you do learn so much from that. You have that grit to stick with it. But man, it's hard to do. It's hard to keep that grit at times. I'll tell you what. And so we're working on, we're doing a lot better. We're at least starting to open our mail, opening our mail, going to the gym. My ex-wife had to, call a cleaning lady and came to clean my house herself too for a whole day. That's how bad it got here. I've been a wreck, mental head case.
Man. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Here's the thing, man. Like, so like, you know why she did that, right? You know why? Because you're worth it, bro. She knows that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
You're worth it, bro. Anyway.
Amen.
I really appreciate you inviting me on, man. I really do.
I love you. And right back, everything you just said to me, right back at you, that spirit you have about you, you're just a good dude through and through. I love you, man. And I really appreciate you taking an hour and a half on the freaking time warp. I love you. Speaking of, I think she's blown me up. Got to go get the kids. Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
I just missed her call. I better run.
Right. Yeah, man. Good people. They're there for you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
I love you. All right, guys. Make sure you go follow this guy. We haven't even scratched the surface. There's nothing this man can't do. He'll go outside. He'll chop down a tree. He'll build a house. He'll build a mining rig. He's out there on Twitter. He's out there on Spaces. He's out there grinding. He's doing videos. He's editing videos. I mean, does this man sleep? Is he even human? Or is he a cyborg? You guys tell me. I love you guys. Love this guy. All right, guys. Seth with Mind Your Biz and Crypto Grady out. Love you guys.